Welcome to the Hearthstone Complaint Department podcast. Hope you are not sodium intolerant. Here are your hosts, Jay and Nick. Take it away, boys.
Welcome to the Hearthstone Complaint Department, where we do a deep dive on the saltiest takes about Hearthstone, past, present, and future. This is not an I Hate Hearthstone podcast, but we are here to talk about all of the things that drive people bonkers about the game, unpack them, and then see if we can turn those frowns or smiles upside down, depending on your preference. My name is Jay from This Week in Hearthstone, and my co-host is the one, the only Nick from Flair Hearthstone YouTube channel. What's up, Nick?
I'm doing all right, man. How are you doing?
Good. So if you have not seen it, if you're not looking at the screen right now, today's episode is titled Our Theorycraft Experience, or How Jay Likes to Lose at Hearthstone. And boy, did I lose at Hearthstone. If you watched the podcast last week or listened to the podcast last week, Nick and I were invited to the Perils in Paradise Theorycraft event. And we want to spend the time on this episode just talking about everything that happened and impacted it. First of all, we were super excited. If you didn't listen to last week's, definitely listen to last week's. We were shocked. I was shocked. I know Nick was shocked. I was excited from the entire time. I went a couple of days being so excited that I didn't sleep on certain days. I was like, oh yeah, I'll do this. What about you?
Oh yeah. I was just like, every day I was just waiting for it to be over just to go to the next day so we could go to the next day. Like that's how every day felt.
Yeah. It was so almost like Christmas. It was like a nerd's Christmas. It was so much fun. You know, there was a lot of things that we had never experienced before. So Nick and I were like reaching out to each other like, hey, do you think this is going to happen? I don't know. We'll have to see. And then we would actually see what happened. It was interesting being outside of the those types of things for a long time now, because, Nick and I are absolute fans of the game. So we've been playing for a long time. It was interesting to go into that scenario to where like, hey, we're doing this now, like we're kibitzing and playing these games with the individuals that we were watching doing this last expansion or 2 expansions ago. And yeah, I thought it was a blast, even though I lost so many games. Yeah. I thought it was good. How did you do with the games?
When I played decks that I thought were actually going to be very good, I did very well. And then when I tried to have fun, I felt really bad because other people were playing decks that they thought would be very good, trying to see how good they were.
Yeah, I've seen several of those situations. So like I was sitting there and I don't deck build. So one of the things that I did was, because we were allowed to use the client for the next build that had all the cards in it, obviously from the new expansion, I was able to use the pre-constructed decks that the content creators made for the new expansion. And some of those were really good, but like I was also playing against like heavy hitters. Like I think I got torn up by Rarin like 4 times in like the first 5 matches of the game. It's like almost like, oh yeah, I'm gonna beat him up. So let's do this. Let's break it down and start talking about the good experiences, the bad experiences, and then go from there. There might be a couple of bad experiences. All right, Nick, tell me what the good was.
Pirate Demon Hunter. That's the most fun I've had playing a standard deck in probably the last 3 or 4 years. I'm not gonna lie.
Very strong. It was
really good. It felt really good. Like maybe my list wasn't the best possible one. I didn't run Ziliax for some reason. I don't know why. I just forgot it. But it was really, really fun. I was winning games on like turn 3 on board. Basically, it's just unreal. I had a game. I think it was against Cantaloupe. I set him to 15 health on turn 3, and I cleared his board. And I had a board that was so big that he couldn't clear it on turn 3. Like.
That's one of the things that I've seen. One of the things I wanted to mention is, for the good side of it, people have been asking for a shakeup. And I believe I'm correct on this. Please correct me if I'm wrong, Nick. But I think there's going to be a shakeup because I saw what was the thing that we don't see in a long time. In a long time, we have not had a board-based mage deck. And every mage deck that I saw being played was a full board by like turn 3. The way you're playing Hearthstone is going to be different. Go ahead.
Rayla was way better than I thought it would be. Like I don't even know how to describe it. I thought that was going to be like a really bad card. You kind of only run it for the paladin spells, and it's like the best card in the entire deck. It was, well, I guess Concierge's best card, but we'll get to that. But Rayla was insane. You would just be able to play like the Divine Brew. You could just play it on Rayla, and then it's like it's a 4-mana 2/5, so it's with Divine Shield, so it's not easy to clear at all. And then it summons a 2-drop with Divine Shield, which could be like a taunt or something, or Doomsayer, and that happened a few times.
Yeah,
someone got a full board on turn 4 against me, and then they got Doomsayer from Rayla, and they just lost the game.
You know, I think that I've seen so many different swings. Like, you know, listen, if you're listening to Nick and I talk about Hearthstone, I would be shocked if none of you have seen any of the theory crafting videos or, you know, been involved in the theory crafting. But again, the game is going to be a bit different. Do not slow down on what you're doing. Keep an eye on it, because if you don't have a lock on the game, turn 5 or turn 6, you won't be around for turn 7 or turn 8. One of the things that I saw, when I was doing my theory craft, messing around with Painlock. Painlock has been strong for quite a bit of time, and you know, with what Lock does, Warlock, excuse me, I keep on saying Lock. Warlock likes to beat itself up, but you know what? You don't have the ability to beat yourself up when your opponent is beating you up just as much, if not harder. I don't know how these decks from Warlock are going to be in this new set, this new expansion. What do you think?
So when I did play Painlock, I played against Pirate Demon Hunter and I lost. And then I played against like Druid and then I won, right? Painlock in Wild has that same thing, right? Where it's really, really good into these decks that kind of don't do anything until like turn 4 or 5. And it's really bad into decks that do anything by like those early turns. Because you're dealing like 15, 16 damage to yourself very consistently. And all your opponent has to do is put you in a health range that either you like kill yourself through the damage in game, of course, or you are able to just kill your opponent over the top because of how much damage they've taken. And I feel like from what I understand about Standard currently is that's not happening, is why Painlock is so good, is that doesn't happen very often. But then you have like this new Demon Hunter deck, which does that very consistently. It's able to push out like 15 damage by turn 3 or 4. So it will be able to farm these Painlock decks. And like, I know that like Paladin is really good in Standard currently, but does it, I haven't heard like people talk about it versus Warlock very much. So I don't know specifically, but if Paladin isn't beating Pain Warlock in Standard, that's kind of weird in my opinion for an aggro deck.
Yeah. Paladin is stronger than, or it might not be 100% stronger, but I know that the play rates are exponentially higher on the Paladin side than Painlock. And listen, if you're looking at those statistics, you know, they're from HS Replay or what have you, but they mean something because that's what, you know, that's a good gauge of what you're seeing. But it's not a bad deck. It's not being, and maybe it's just because I'm looking at it from like a bronze through like diamond type of range. But you're seeing much more Paladins on the ladder, and especially the win rates than you are with any type of Warlock deck.
Oh yeah, I mean, that's usually what happens though. Paladin is like the low level stomper usually. It's usually Paladin, Hunter, Pirate Warrior whenever that comes around. Very odd we didn't get Pirate Warrior this set, but whatever. You'd think the first class that had pirates as its core identity, Pirate Warrior, would get pirates in a pirate expansion, but I don't know. Rogue also didn't really get any pirates, which again, very weird.
What did you think about? So when I just did a 2-part series for my budget deck people about, hey, here's the cards you're going to see. And then, this is how it should be played from a budget experience. And I really didn't see a lot of rogue or shaman synergy. at all. Like I didn't see like for me, you could tell right away what the Paladin was going to be doing, and you could tell what Warrior was going to be doing in this expansion. But I didn't see like a really quickly defined, hey, this is this is what Shaman is. Maybe a little bit easier on the rogue side. It looks more like the crazy miracle type of, hey, listen, everything that we want we're gonna get, and we're gonna do these crazy turns. I just didn't see it. Maybe it's just there wasn't a lot of people playing it.
No, so Shaman, the only card Shaman really got this expansion are Demon Hunter cards. The rest of the Shaman cards aren't very good. Cabaret Headliner is really good, but that card also reduces your hand by like 8. It's 4 mana 4/4, reduce the cost of the cards in your hand by 8. Like, obviously that card is going to be good, but the Demon Hunter cards are really what is going to be for Shaman this expansion. Skirting Death with Conductivity is going to give you a lot of damage. Sigil of Skydiving is incredible just in general. It's a great card to fight for board. It's really, really good with Cookie. It's just a great card. And then, what was it? There was another one that I can't remember off the top of my head.
The banana one?
Oh, it was the 3 mana draw 3 spell, Paraglide. That one's gonna be great for Shaman. Okay. Shaman doesn't have that much card draw, so getting 3 mana draw 3, you don't even care about the outcast that much. Especially in like a combo deck, burning your opponent's cards is very good. So like a deck like that, you're not upset. But other than that, Shaman got, Cookie obviously is a fine card. Even outside of just being a Taurus, it's a pretty decent card. It synergizes very well with Sigil of Skydiving. And then Cabaret Headliner, 4 mana 4/4. It reduces Conductivity, Sigil Skydiving, Skirting Death, and like, I don't know, Malted Magma is a fine enough card, I guess. So that's minus 8 mana to your hand. Like, it's really good.
Yeah, there. One of the things that I was looking at, I wanted to look at this from the side of, okay, there's going to be questions coming up. Yes, there's people watching the expansion as it goes, but, we got to play and interact with these cards. And one of the thing was, hey, how is Taurus going to work? It's dual class, but it's not dual class because it's restricted or what have you. Do you think the tourist mechanic is broken, or does it feel balanced enough?
I think that if you don't include Concierge in that conversation, I think Taurus is fine, right? Yeah, some classes got way better cards than others. Warrior!
Yeah, exactly.
And then some classes got really bad cards. Hunter! But, other than that, it's relatively fair, I would say. None like, the tourists themselves are, some of them are okay, some of them aren't that great. Like I was saying, Rayla's really good, but then you have Ranger Gilly, which is, I would say Ranger Gilly is one of the worst Hunter cards ever printed, but, that's just me. I think Taurus is cool, right? It's a little sad because there used to be this kind of, how do I put this, community, in quotes, of like, Shaman and Warrior. There's a Shaman Discord and a Warrior Discord, right? And they have this thing going around where it's called like dual class. I forget what it's called. It's like dual class mentioned or whatever. It's whenever that you talk about a warrior or Shaman, and then they have all this community about it, right? And I was really looking forward to that, right? I was really looking forward to doing that for Hunter and Warrior, and then we get Ranger Gilly, and dang, man.
So what's the problem with Concierge?
Okay, do you remember Sorcerer's Apprentice?
Yes.
Okay, now imagine that, but in Druid.
Yeah.
That's what the problem is.
Concierge is the 3 mana 3/4 pirate. Your cards from another class cost 1 less. And listen, this is a...
Wait,
I can't make it big. You're asking for too much. No, if you would have told me, I would have added it. I'll add it in post. We'll do it in post. 3 mana, 3/4 pirate. Your cards from another class cost 1 less. The one thing that does complain, well, not everybody, but there's complaints about this. Hey, stop making the cards cost 0 or start making them cost less than nothing. Yeah. This card will be a pain. I definitely agree, but is it a bad thing? I don't know. Are we talking about stuff right now that could be bad? I think there's many more cards that are going to be problematic. Do I think that Concierge's play rate is going to be super, super high? Absolutely. Until something better comes along. But what could be better than, cost one less? It's going to work for some classes, but it's not going to work for all of them.
Yeah.
Wait a minute. If you're talking about this and it's Concierge that your cards from another class and you can play dual class cards, yeah, you're going to see it for a bit.
Yeah. Mage, Druid, and Hunter are the only ones that got 1 mana drinks. Cup of Muscle, Divine Brew, and Seabreeze Chalice. And that's why Concierge is so good, because of the drink cards mainly. I don't think the drink cards need to be nerfed. I mean, they're fine. They're fine when you don't include Concierge. They're fine in their home classes. I guess not Cup of Muscle, but
right.
And it's really weird that did happen, right? I feel like that feels like something that should have been probably like, hey, wait a minute, we probably shouldn't give, Druid infinite spell damage and infinite spells to repeat it when we already gave it spell damage last expansion.
Agree.
That just feels like an oversight, if you ask me. But I don't know. It happens. It happens all the time. It's not that big of a deal. It'll get nerfed if it's too strong. Just wait like a week or two.
All right. So what else do we want to talk about before we start talking about the things that we think need more work, otherwise known as the bad? What else was good? Let's talk about just the event. The good part on my side was just getting to interact face to face and right there and immediate with everybody that was showing up on the streams. And I don't stream a lot, and I know that you've been starting to pick it up a little bit more, but you are not an all the time streamer. Nick and I, we both spent time on YouTube. We didn't go to Twitch. And that might have been something that, stunted the amount of people that came to us, but I was fine with it. And I'm sure you were fine with it too. I was just happy interacting, getting to meet all those, individuals that we don't talk to on a daily basis. What about you?
Yeah, I don't know, man. Streaming is fine for other people. People like it. That's all them. I just like sit there and I'm like, I was like 4 hours in and I was like, dude, I'm just not having fun. It's not that let me rephrase. It's not that I wasn't having fun with the new cards. It's that I wasn't having fun because it's standard. Like, that's a me thing, right? I don't like standard. So playing a standard, obviously I'm not going to have fun. That's different. So like being on stream for 4 hours in and I had to like get to 6 to, fully do it all because I wanted to do the whole thing. It felt kind of awkward, but I wouldn't have said no, and if they offered again, I'm not going to say no. It was fun. Like, I like playing with new cards. You know what I mean? We didn't talk about it though. We didn't talk about Amalgam. Did you play any Amalgam decks?
Yeah. So that's one of the things I think we're going to talk about, good and bad as a mixture, because some people will say that some of these cards, including Amalgam, might be a little too busted. Okay, so let's start going into it. So this is what we'll do. We'll just every once in a while we'll just flip back and forth, because I think there's an absolute conversation that we should not be talking about cards being busted and needing nerfs right away or what have you. It wouldn't be prudent for us to do this. There was just so many people that were working on this game where there's only 40, 50, 60 people doing this Theorycraft. I think it's way too soon. The decks weren't refined. The decks were not put together specifically because, we had to have 10 cards of the new expansion. So they weren't refined or what have you. But there's some crazy stuff happening. And it's not just Demon Hunter. He just mentioned it.
No, Demon Hunter. I don't even think Demon Hunter is really like too strong. I think it's just a very solid thing. Because I played against a hand buff paladin deck that was like, I didn't see a single new card and I won very very handily. So I feel like that's a good benchmark.
Yes, absolutely. But there is a couple of things, Okay, first of all, this might be a difference of opinion. I don't think Rye Cleaver as a specific card, and that's the one that a lot of people were talking about mostly that day. And we're going to bounce around because we can just do what we want. I don't think Rye Cleaver is too strong. I think Rye Cleaver is too strong with Druid Tourist cards in the deck.
I started seeing by end of day, no one was running Rye Cleaver in that warrior deck.
I agree.
Yeah, I mean, I already thought that card was going to be like okay at best, but just it just didn't really matter, right? Like you were more focused on just getting your Unkiliacs on turn 3 with Trail Mix and Chemical Spill than playing Rhycleaver.
And that's the problem too. Ziliax needs to be nerfed again.
Yep.
We've had this for a while. It's already had a little adjustment or what have you. But the one part where it's like, hey, it's a poison and then it's got reborn and everything in Divine Shield.
Yeah, virus.
If I'm wrong on this, please correct me. Maybe I'm just a moron or what have you. But when you have a minion, let's say you have one with Divine Shield and it loses a Divine Shield, and then it gets reborn. Does the Divine Shield come back up?
Yeah, it keeps Divine Shield and then it has 1 health.
It just doesn't work for me. I don't see how, because so that with Rhycleaver, with all of the other stuff, there is some stuff on the warrior side where it's an impassable board unless you are just as aggressive as the person that you're fighting against. My first couple of games was against Rarum, was against Zeddy, was against a couple of other individuals who play probably more games in a day than I do in a week. Admittedly so. But listen, they put those combos off and there was absolutely zilch, nada that I can do. I did have a little bit of success with the priest decks that we were playing around with, and it was just basically disrupting their game. I was able to get a brawl out of one of the games that I played against Zeddy, and that's the only reason I lasted an extra 2 turns, because he just had that resurrect spells. Resurrect your 3 highest minion, and one of them was the monstrosity that freaking gave you a double of what you played immediately.
Yeah. It's going to be rough. I think that there is absolutely no way that Virus Module doesn't get nerfed again. It's just Reborn, Rush, Lifesteal, Taunt, Divine Shield, Poisonous. All of that together is just way too good. It doesn't matter the mana cost because you're not actually paying for it. It doesn't. Yeah. It's just. It's so weird because the funny thing is the way that they could get rid of Unkiliacs is to add Stealth back to Virus Module. But then you have the issue of Virus Module plus Power Module, which was why it was nerfed, because it would be the Stealth Ziliax that continually doubles its attack that you can't deal with. That's why it was originally nerfed. So it's like, well, what do you do, right? You already have this stealth thing where if it had stealth, then you wouldn't have this Unkiliacs. But if it does have stealth, then you have the broken thing that was nerfed before that. So it's kind of this it's this catch-22. Plus Unkiliacs has elusive. I didn't even mention that. I think elusive is the most broken part about that card for sure. Like the fact that you can't target it with any spells at all is unreal. If you could play red card on it in Demon Hunter, that would make it so you could get through it with aggro decks. If you could play like Shadow Word, never mind. I was gonna say Shadow Word Kill, but it has 4 attack, not 5. Sorry, so it doesn't work. But you get what I mean, right? You can't target this minion, so you can't get rid of it. So it's just like it's actually impossible to deal with so many decks, and it's completely invalidated a lot of classes in Standard. It's unreal, like.
Yeah, there's that other card that I'm looking for right now, and I'm probably not going to find it while we're on the podcast right now, but it's the one that elusive and can only take 1 damage at a time.
It's like Delicious Drake, Delicacy Drake, something like that. I could actually find
that's the one. That one is another one that Draconic Delicacy, Russian elusive, can only take 1 damage at a time. Something needs to go on that one. It's super strong.
Is it? I didn't see it ever.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Wow.
That was one part of the sandwich combo. So you had that, and then just there's nothing you could do with it. And listen, we know this is not saying that we need nerfs now. We're not saying that nerfs need to happen.
It's just our impressions.
But our impressions are, whoa, these cards are super, super strong. And that's kind of cool because, there was a couple of counters to it. Like I said, I was able to beat both Raren and Zeddy, or at least adjust their boards completely with Priest. I'm pretty happy that, I had Raren could concede over, one of those boards. I was happy with that. Okay. I fought one of the best, and I didn't get smacked over to oblivion immediately. I was happy with it.
What they should do is they should bring back Najik Hexen to standard, the 4-mana 1/4 battle cry, choose an enemy minion, steal it, death battle, return it, so that you can take your opponent's Unkiliacs. That's what they should do.
I don't think I like that idea.
You don't like that?
No.
You can have two and your opponent can't?
What's going to happen is, that's going to break it to where, I've always said, and I've said it from the beginning, you and I are playing a video game right now. We're playing a game of Hearthstone. You stay out of my deck, and I will stay out of your deck. And anything like that disrupts it that way without, I'm not a fan of those. Not a fan.
Yeah. It is very funny, though, because one thing that, Zeddy is very adamant against not liking Puppet Theater, but Puppet Theater is one of the best cards against Ziliax because it's not a spell, so you can target the Unkiliacs with it, and then you can have your own Unkiliacs. Yeah, it's a 1-mana 1/1 on the first half, but it still resummons as a 4/1 with Divine Shield.
I used that. That this weekend, and it was awesome. That was one really of the things that you could do. But I'm okay with that because it's like choose an enemy minion, get a 1/1 copy of it. That's okay. Yeah. But something that steals yours or what have you, I'm not a fan of. Or takes the minion and throws it into my deck.
Yeah.
Stop that. I wanted it out. That's why I put it out.
What the heck?
No, these are just little things. I love the fact that I was able to play with all those content creators.
Yeah, it was fun.
Do I think I'll ever be on the same?
So my first game that I played was against a Blizzard dev, right? Guess what card they played against me? Guess what card?
Sing along, buddy. It has to be.
No. It's everyone's least favorite card.
Which one?
They played Reno Lone Ranger on me into my Eliza Goreblade when I had an Eliza with Reborn and I had another copy of it on the board. My first game I played, I get screwed over by a Blizzard dev, dude. Come on.
I think, didn't we all mention something like, hey, we weren't going to play Reno, we were going to play Ran?
I didn't see anyone else playing Reno. I didn't see anyone else, man. Come on.
That was, and listen, there's two camps, one that thinks Reno's is busted, and one that thinks Reno is not busted. I think Reno is fine. I think with the boards, listen, everybody was complaining about Reno. Everybody thought that Reno was busted. With some of the boards that you're going to see, you're going to like Reno. Reno's going to be much more appreciated in the next couple of weeks, and that's a good thing. I thought it was awesome. There's some nutty stuff you guys are about to see. And again, these decks aren't even 100% refined yet. Zeddy put in the Rye Cleaver one, and I don't know if this was exactly like Zeddy's idea. I think he copied it from someone else. He put Voon in the Rye Cleaver Warrior or what have you. It was gross. Fun. It was disgusting. It should have been against the law. It was awesome though. And I'm fine with this crazy stuff. When I'm saying this stuff, I'm like, oh yeah, that was wrong. That was broken. It's unplayable. There were some times when I literally sat there and goes, what am I supposed to do with this board? How am I supposed to counter this? There's that. It was not like that. Turn 1, turn 2, turn 3, turn 4, turn 5, and the next, boom, turn 6. You got to watch what you're doing. This is not a casual type of, let me just build to get my OTK. I don't think so. I think it was to where you've got to work to make sure that you're playing. If you're just sitting there waiting for this card, you're done. And I think that's a good thing.
I'm always a big proponent against like big decks. I think that they provide like an uninteresting gameplay for both players. And that's kind of how I felt during theory crafting, right? Everyone was trying to play big warrior. Everyone was trying to play big druid. It just felt like every game you either won or your opponent got their board and they kept resummoning it over and over again. And it wasn't fun. It felt like Big Priest, and Big Priest is one of the most hated decks ever made. So it's kind of why I just like, I don't know. I think that like to properly play against big decks, you have to structure your deck in a way that Standard doesn't have currently. You don't have cards like okay, I might be wrong about this. I don't think Shadow Word Ruin is in Standard. I know that cards like Najak Hexen and Serena Bloodfeather aren't in Standard. So I like, and those are cards that are good against big decks, at least in Wild, but Wild big decks are significantly faster, so I feel like that should, make sense. So like playing against big decks also doesn't really feel that fun, because it's like, okay, well, I drew all my big minions before I was able to play or cheat them out. That kind of sucks. And right. Yeah, you get those high roll turns, and those are really fun, for one player. And then your opponent's like, oh, man, dude, I got high rolled. Well, game's over, but I can't really concede because it's theorycrafting. So that's kind of how I felt. That's kind of what killed my mood in theorycrafting a little bit, is I couldn't concede.
I have some bad news. Shadow Ruin is a core card.
It is? Okay. Well, I only played one game of Priest, so don't blame me.
Wait, so let's talk about this, because this makes sense or what have you. There's a no concede policy, and that's because we're trying to build content around this, and I don't want to sit there and mess up something that's going to be cool and create a video or whatnot. I'm playing this game and I'm like, oh yeah, I'm going to play all the new cosmetics or what have you. I'm playing against Old Guardian, another content creator who's absolutely awesome, and I was like, yeah, I'm playing Old Guardian, I'm doing this, I'm doing good, and I'm like, I'm winning the game. And then people are going over and like, there's a bug. The card I was playing was crashing. And I was like, okay, first of all, now I don't feel good at game playing. Number two is my first experience with Old Guardian was like, hey, listen, I'm gonna make it bugged so you lose or what have you.
You didn't know. You didn't know that people didn't know that it was gonna be bugged until I think it was 30 or so minutes in that it was bugged, and then it was obviously a card everyone had in their deck, because it was signature adaptive amalgam, and everyone wanted to play with adaptive amalgam, and everyone wants to play with signatures, so you can't really blame anyone in the early time slot for that.
So did you see, so if I'm not looking at it incorrectly, okay, that adaptive amalgam is good. It's very good. I think it's going to be super strong. Was there any problems that you had with it keeping the enchantments as it went through?
No, I didn't have any issues with it going in the deck. I think there were issues, it would keep the warlock spell was that gives a minion +3/+3 and deal damage. It would keep dealing damage in your deck, which is really funny. That's similar to an old bug that existed with what's it called? I can't remember what it's called. The old paladin minion that has the same effect. It used to have a bug like that where it would keep effects like that in the deck, namely spell damage, and it was really fun because there was it's Immortal Prelate. Sorry, there was a spell damage paladin that you could play with Immortal Prelate. You give it spell damage through outside effects, and then it would have spell damage permanently, no matter where it was. So you would just have +4 spell damage for the rest of the game. And paladin, it was really fun.
So this is my idea. I want to build something with adaptive amalgam and with the autonomous or automaton.
Yeah, the astral automaton.
Priest. Astral automaton. I want to build something like that in Priest. That's what I'm going to be messing with, and I don't normally play Priest. I'm excited for that. The amount of crazy stuff I think that's going to be there. I love that card. I think that card's going to be a 1-mana 1/1 before we know it. If anything's going to get adjusted, it's going to be that one, I think.
Yeah, it really sucks because I feel like that card probably will go to 2 mana, but it feels like Hunter was specifically designed around that card.
I don't think it'll go to 2 mana. I think it's going to get just a 1/1. I think it's going to be a 1/1 because it's I agree with you doing that right there. It kind of kills a piece of it, and I think a 1-mana 1/1 would be fine.
Yeah,
I don't know. Listen,
it was really fun to use. All I can say is that it was very fun to use. You would give it in Hunter specifically, is why I'm talking about Hunter. You would summon it with the weapon. You would give it Wind Fury. You would give it Trample from Always Bigger Jormungandr. You would buff it up with either with basically anything. My choice was what's it called? Not Saddle Up. Kodo Mount, because you could get Stealth or Divine Shield, and it would help it a lot there. And then you would play Leroy, so you'd get the two dragons from Leroy. Leroy would be buffed because you were playing Cup of Muscle as well. So then you would play Leroy, you would swing the weapon, you would summon the Amalgam, and then you would have 2 targets for the Amalgam's Wind Fury trample effect to hit into, and Leroy, and you would kill your opponent that way. It was really fun.
There's not a class that I can think of that's not going to have a deck built with Adaptive Amalgam in it. I can't think of one. It's awesome in Demon Hunter. Why? Because it's the all keyword, and we like to mess around with pirate stuff. So any of that fun stuff, it'll be in there. Why wouldn't you do that? Because it's super cheap as well. There's not one. It's going to be fine in Death Knight. It's amazing in Flood or Hand Buff Pally. We're going to see that day one. This card is going to be the Astalor of the set, if you will, or the Ziliax of the set, if you will, because that's in freaking every deck that we see. Let's talk about.
Oh, sorry.
Go ahead, please. Please.
I was gonna say I was playing it in Death Knight, and I put Silk Stitching on it, and I got Remorseless Winter. And what happened was I played it. It would trigger its effect. It would deal 2 damage to my opponent. It would shuffle back into his deck, and I instantly drew it again because of Remorseless Winter.
I'm excited to see. One of the things that you didn't get to do, and I know you're a Wild player. There's not any events for Wild like this. There was one a couple of years ago, but that was it.
Yeah.
But I can't wait to see what you do with the expansion when it launches on Tuesday. It's going to be awesome.
I'm gonna press the button. That's what I'm gonna do.
Exactly.
I'm gonna play Chatty Parrot. I'm gonna double up on aim shots, and I'm gonna press the button real good.
Okay, so if you what is the signature that you most want out of the set?
Oh, I didn't even think about that. Probably Arana, I'd say. I mean, Arana is just really gorgeous as a signature. Arana's like one of my favorite characters in Hearthstone, and it's probably one of the best cards at the same time. So it's like a triple threat.
Okay. For mine, if I had to pick, and I don't really want to pick, if I had to pick, I think Corpsicle. And the only reason is Corpsicle, you'll be seeing that card quite often. It's not a one and done card.
Isn't Corpsicle on the pass?
Oh, is it?
I'm actually gonna look. Perils in Paradise.
I think you're right. Okay, so if I don't pick that, if I have to pick something else because Corpsicle's part of the
I might have lied.
And listen, it's strong. And the cool thing is it's going to be in your hand the entire time the way it works. Hydration Station, I think, would be the one that I would most want out of all the signatures. If I could only pick one, and I'm not going to pick one. What about the diamond cards? Are you excited about those?
Quick thing, Corpsicle is not on the pass. I was wrong. It's Hydration Station, Hypal Pupil, and then like one other card.
We'll do an apology video later.
Yeah, right. I mean, Diamond Sandcastle would have been one that I would pick up, right? But you saw what I said on Twitter. It doesn't have a diamond location. It has a golden location. So, like, why would I have that over Golden Sandcastle if Golden Sandcastle has the golden location? It's really unfortunate because it's very similar to the frog situation with Dr. Holiday. It feels like something that they just like had an oversight on. They're like, oh, we just didn't really. Because they eventually fixed that one, but like
Velorock has both.
Does Velorock have both? Come on, man.
Yeah. So listen, would you be okay if everything was the same with the art and they just swapped it from the golden to the diamond?
Yeah, I mean, like, I obviously you want a little animation, right? Like the diamond one.
No. You're moving the goalpost. What I'm saying is, would you be okay? Would it be more valuable to you if it just changed that piece?
Yeah, it definitely would if it had the diamond outline. I like how the diamond outline looks. It looks very nice.
I like it. Listen, have you seen, and I don't know if this is, I have to check this. I forgot. I've been in the client. I've been in the Theorycraft client the entire weekend building out content. But did you notice that there's a little sheen when you have the decks with the diamond cards in it when you're looking at all of the cards in a list? I think
I think what you're talking about. Yeah, they had like a new effect.
Yeah, it's really cool. Look for the little nuances. Let's spend a few minutes talking about what would happen or what would we like to do get invited again. And there's two things that I want to bring up. You might not have anything for this. Number one is now I know what type of content to start producing. Yes, I've seen these before. I've, experienced all the ins and outs in terms of how the content cadence was going for my favorite content creators. But knowing that I'm a content creator now and seeing the beginning to the end of it, I think I would be more prepared, and I think I would be building content and building pieces in the beginning for the end result, because some of the videos and the the stuff that's coming out from the content creators right now that were in the Theorycraft are awesome. And I don't think I was paying attention. Like I just used the pre-constructed decks or what have you. My experience was different than someone else that built these specific decks for specific purposes, and I'd like to fix that.
Yeah, I know for a fact I'm not doing the nighttime slot. I felt like by the time that I got to the second time slot that like everyone was just talking about stuff that had already happened. I was like, dang, dude, I didn't get to discover it myself.
Okay.
Yeah. Like I couldn't do the morning one even if I had wanted to. So it kind of sucks that way. But like people will come in, they'll be like, oh, did you try this deck yet? It's really broken. I was like, dude, I wanted to play what I wanted to play.
Yeah, I didn't listen, I was running into it from the beginning saying if you had decks for anybody that was coming in that you wanted to, because I didn't have anything built, I was down for that. I was fine with either one of them. But the one major thing, and I'm telling you right now, I'm going to call it on here so we have proof of this. I've got to be called out for this. I really need to start playing more Hearthstone. I'm not getting, listen, I'm busy. I have a full-time gig. We have this content creation thing or what have you. I'm not playing enough of this game. I'm spending a lot of time playing Battlegrounds. I'm spending a lot of time, doing stuff. I've got to start playing more Hearthstone games. I haven't been Legend since I think last year or year before, or maybe even year before that. Listen, Legend is not the goal. It's, it's what you're doing to get there or what have you. But man, I do not have a lot of games in, and I want to fix that. I want to be someone who can go through, if they're invited again, have that full plan from the beginning to the end, have all the content mapped out, and be able to be like, hey, listen, these are the decks I want to build because I've been playing so much more. And it's like, I don't think I was an odd man out, but I know that in certain cases, I had no shot against some of these other players right now.
Yeah. I have not been playing very much these last like 2 or 3 months. But I mean, I feel like a lot of people have that exact same issue. Like obviously there's like expansion fatigue. People aren't playing as much right now. It's, the summer, people are busy, and like people are just really not enjoying the game kind of lately. Yeah, that happens. It happens every expansion. People are like, oh, all the hype's died down. Now I hate it. That happens every expansion. But yeah. For me, I feel like this is probably one of the biggest lulls I've ever had playing the game is after Whizbang's Workshop. I don't know. It's hard to talk about, especially for Wild when you're playing against Miracle Rogue every single game and nothing else. It's like, it's kind of unreal. And in Standard, you're playing against Druid every single game and nothing else. And that's kind of why, Druid being so strong in this theory crafting is really annoying a lot of people and really bothering a lot of people, because they don't want to play against Druid again.
Yeah, I'm very excited for the expansion coming out. I want to also, again, I want to thank Team 5. I want to thank Blizzard. I want to thank Ridiculous Hat, who's amazing, and everybody that was there, because it wasn't just Ridiculous Hat. It was the, 30 or 50 people helping put this together as well. Everybody, we really appreciate being invited. We hope we didn't, embarrass anybody, and that we are going to get invited again, because it was super, super fun. I definitely know what to expect. So if you guys liked what we did, if you like what Nick and I did during the Theorycraft or what have you, just wait until you invite us to the next one. I'm not saying we need to go to every single one. We're not trying to be greedy here. And even listen, you don't have to do the next expansion, because let other people do it. But man, it was fun, and I'm on board. I'm ready to rock and roll whenever they want me.
Oh yeah, I think that if there were the opportunity to say like, oh, if like I don't want to do it, give it to this person, then I would 100% do that. Not because I didn't have a good time or whatever. It's just like you're saying. I feel like some other people should get it as well, right? I don't know if that will happen. It's kind of a lot of work. A lot of people, don't really. It's not that they don't meet the standards. It's more like I feel like. How do I put this? There's like a specific amount of like allocation that they can give to people in certain like groups, right? English speakers, there's a lot more of them, so it's a lot harder to get into. If you're like a Spanish speaker, or if you speak Korean, or other stuff like that, there's a lot less of them, so they get more. So it's kind of awkward when you're like if you're like an English audience mainly, it's kind of very awkward for some people, and it sucks, right? It does suck, but I don't know. Like I'm saying, if I were to be able to be like, hey, I would be okay if you gave it to this person specifically instead of me, I would definitely do that. But I'm not going to say no if they invite me again,
Yeah, I'm not. Unless something's going on, I'm definitely excited for any opportunities that I get, because it was fun. I'm now ready to listen. I'm always excited during the expansion launch. Expansion launches, I try to go to work, like take a vacation day or what have you, and I know a lot of you do as well or what have you. I'm gonna play the game as soon as possible for as much as possible. But now, because I've gotten a little taste of them, I'm ready to go. I'm excited for Tuesday. I'm excited. I've already started building out ideas of like, okay, here's some things that I'm going to go ahead and try. I definitely want to build. Like I said, if I'm talking about priest decks, I want to start building. That's saying something, and that's a good thing to me. That's a home run. If Jay's talking about the priest class, that's a good thing.
Okay, I have to say this. I'm not excited for Tuesday. I'm excited for Wednesday, because Tuesday is also when Marvel Rivals beta drops, and I signed up for that months ago, before this expansion was even announced. So I'm really upset that they decided to drop it on the same day.
Isn't there another thing too?
Is there another thing?
I think World of Warcraft has something going on, and doesn't. I could have sworn there's a World of Warcraft.
You are right. I think WoW does have something coming out on July 23rd as well. What is with this day, dude? What? It's so awkward. Like, everything's happening on this day.
So you're in the beta for Rivals?
Yeah, I signed up for it. I'm pretty sure I'll get in, because it was just like a sign up kind of one. I hope that it works. I hope I signed up in time is more what I'm worried about. If not, I'll obviously be playing Hearthstone, obviously, but I'll be playing Hearthstone in queue. Well, I can tell you that.
I'm playing Hearthstone. If Nick doesn't want to do it, you'll see our side channel this week in Rivals. Just kidding. We're not doing that. We're not doing that. Unless you want to do, I don't know. It looks like a fun game. I'm just terrible at those types of games.
Well, yeah, I actually played Overwatch recently with my friends. Like, literally last night, I was playing Overwatch with my friends. I was like, dude, I'm so excited for Marvel Rivals.
I like Overwatch. I'm just terrible at it.
Yeah,
I'm too old for it.
I was pretty good at Overwatch, in 2016 in season 3, I hit Masters, and then literally didn't queue the game again. Ever again.
I used to play so good at Pac-Man, you wouldn't believe it. Donkey Kong, yeah. I've got it, and now it's like no.
They added that pesky third dimension to video games.
Yeah, exactly. What is this? I mean, there's a menu. What are you talking about? There's start and stop.
Yeah, you can save your progress, dude. Yeah. That's for quitters.
Yeah. What is this? Save states. Hey Nick, let's get to voicemail. How does that sound?
Yeah, I forgot.
He's like, "What are you doing?" No, listen. These are good episodes. So this is what we did. We ask every week if you have to talk about, or you have a complaint, or you just want to talk about Hearthstone. We do have the channel for it. That's here. We're going to talk about them. We have a couple of call-ins like we do every week. We're going to go through them. First of all, we have My Lord Chaos, who was very helpful in my stream this week. I actually think he won one of the bundles with us, so that was super, super cool. He has something to say, and we're going to hear about it. My Lord Chaos, here we go.
Hey, guys. One of my pet peeves is that whenever I read players complain about Hearthstone, they always bring up that the game's always changed with the meta always being OP or favors aggro. There's no board presence. Well, let's try to remember that every game evolves, and you got to adapt with the play styles or make a better deck. It just makes us become a better player. No one ever really misses those control games that take 30 or more turns or similar changes like that. Let's just try to be better with our thinking skills when it comes to gameplay decisions, or just try to roll with the punches. Sorry, it's just takes a little long-winded, but there you go, guys.
Okay. So I have things. I agree. I'm an optimist at heart. I know some people will disagree with the sentiment there, but yeah, I don't think. And our first 5 minutes in the game in this podcast was, hey, listen, what you've been experiencing recently is not what's going to happen with this new expansion. Board presence is going to matter. There's going to be OTKs, absolutely. I think it's changing. I think, first of all, I think my Lord Chaos is 100% correct, absolutely. But I think the situation is more of the end user is looking for that fast interaction. I don't like A, so let's remove A. I don't like B, and let's remove B. And I'm not trying to be a boomer or anything like that. Like, we used to get mail. We used to get mail that used to take 6 to 8 weeks to get something in the mail. Now, my daughter is flipping out when she orders something last night and doesn't get it at 10 o'clock in the morning now. This takes time. Some of this stuff takes time. And I think that that's just as important as getting good with the expansions or getting good with the meta or the archetypes or what have you. What do you think? Am I too much of an old fart?
I think that, how do I put this? I think that when it comes to Wild, especially, that's 100% right. You can build your decks correctly to deal with a lot of this stuff, right? You don't need to really expect nerfs. Like, yeah, it sucks that Wild doesn't get touched, but like, people just adapt, right? The Wild meta changes all the time. It actually changes all the time. Yeah, maybe the top like 4 or 5 decks are going to stay the same, but the decks that beat those decks are going to rise up. Then decks that beat those are going to rise up. Then it's going to change, stuff like that, right? I think the issue with Standard, with that, at least recently, is that like Blizzard doesn't really wait for that to happen enough. People just want it instantly, and then the issue is that sometimes those people are right. Sometimes things do need to happen faster than they do, but then other times things happen way faster than they should. I think that like recently Blizzard started like a scheduled for their patches, right? Where they'll like, I forget what expansion it was. There was one expansion recently where the meta was actually very good. People liked it a lot. And then Blizzard came along with their, scheduled patch where they buffed a bunch of cards that people were like, hey, we didn't really want this. People were fine with what was happening. I think it might have been Titans when this happened. I'm not too sure. And then you have mini sets that also do that. And it's like, it's really awkward because Blizzard wants to update the game. They want to be able to make people happy. They want to make people happy. No one actually wants to make your customer base upset, right?
Exactly.
So they're like, okay, we want to keep things fresh. We want to make updates. But if the updates happen at a scheduled time, you're going to have instances where things are too strong for too long and they don't get fixed. When you have like, what's it called? What's it called? The Empire's Grasp in Demon Hunter. What's it called? Shopper Demon Hunter. That is the one. Shopper Demon Hunter was really strong and didn't get nerfed. And that for some reason, I actually don't know why they didn't nerf it. And then it was really strong for like a full month. And people were like really upset about that because it was way too good. But then like I was saying, you had that, I think it was in Titans, you had that one time where people were like, hey, we don't really even want any changes right now. But then Blizzard's like, hey, we're just going to buff a bunch of cards, to spice it up. And then it kind of made people upset because they didn't really want anything. They were fine with how the game was. So it's like, that's like the issue with like schedule changes, right? Usually they're good for the game, right? But when you have a game like Hearthstone where it's getting a lot of new stuff all at once. It's not just like League of Legends, great example, where they get a new champion every like 3 months, right? Maybe a champion gets a minor change, maybe something, but it's just like numbers going up and down on those champions. When you have something like that happens every 2 weeks, it's a lot more palpable because, only maybe, 10 to 15 to 20 champions out of 150 are getting changed versus there's like 300 cards in standard. Half of them already don't see play. And then all the ones that are seeing play are incredibly volatile because if one thing changes, it could just explode in your face because there's only 11 classes to have to deal with and play around. There's probably only at any given point, maybe 10 to 20 decks that are actually playable in standard. Unlike Wild, where there's like, 30 or more, because there's 5,000 cards.
Right.
And that's just awkward when that happens. It's not really anyone's fault. It's just like a byproduct of having scheduled changes, rather than being like, hey, we'll just make a change when we should.
See, dude, listen. Team 5, Hearthstone, just do what you want. Do what you want. Figure it out.
Just do it. People have it good nowadays, by the way. People have it really good. They used to go like 2 months without touching cards, especially broken cards. They used to not buff anything. People have it really good. Like
when Ben Brode was doing everything, we never heard anything. Now we're hearing everything. Now we're sitting there, hey, this isn't working. We're going to fix it.
Yeah.
We didn't even know what was going on weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks in advance. Yeah. It was like,
back in my day, when cards were too strong, they waited a full year and rotated them early. That's what happened back in the day.
Seriously. All right, Boomer.
They were Hall of Fame cards.
Let's go through the other one. Sketchy Tech has something, and then we have one other just visual comment. Here we go from Sketchy Tech.
The change to Highwire cards shouldn't go on all of them, but definitely helps. Spirit of Badlands, Gunslinger Kurtrus, the less powerful ones definitely deserve it. It helps them out. It makes them win conditions more meaningful, and make sure that one card won't screw it up. However, the more powerful ones shouldn't have it. Like Reno, you could make them go back to 9, but have the old text. Bran should never have had that text. Only if your deck has no duplicates, not started. I feel like the case could be made for the more powerful ones go back to only if your deck currently has no duplicates, while the rest can stay if it's started. It would be fair.
I don't hate this idea.
Sorry. I had like an external thing to raise the volume, so I just want to make sure. So the reason that the text was changed was because of those 2 cards. Those 2 cards are the reason the text was changed.
Yeah.
So I think he should probably mean the other way around.
The idea is this. I don't hate the idea that go through the cards as they're needed and change it to where it's not one or the other. It's interchangeable.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Some of them could be that, hey, if your deck started with no duplicates, this happened. Or this one could say, if your deck has none. I love the idea. I don't want to put things in the box. Now, listen, I'm looking at it as a moron. So for all I know, there's something in the back end that wouldn't let that happen. It's an all or none situation. We don't know this, but I would be fine with something like that. Absolutely.
Yeah. Like I think he probably meant the other way around, where it's like Bran and Reno should have your deck started with, because that's why they were changed, because of those 2 specifically. But yeah, something like Spirit of the Badlands, it's fine. It's not really that great. Kurtrus, Gunslinger Kurtrus is like fine. Dr. Holiday was really good when the weapon had 2 attack. It's like fine now, if I remember correctly. Steldren is Steldren, the best one, obviously. I'm gonna punch ya.
There's nothing wrong with that card whatsoever.
I love Theldurin. Theldurin's one of the best design cards they've released in a long, long time.
Yeah, I thought it was really good. All right, so we also have, I posted this out that we were going to film, and this was a day after, 2 days after, the thoughts on the new expansion, everything else related to the game. And this is what came through just on the Twitter side. Andy Rodriguez said, this expansion feels like it's going to change the game either for good. Many classes look they are going to receive a boost from having access to cards from another class, or for bad. Druid feels like it's going to be very complained about in general. I think both of those statements are absolutely true.
Yeah.
And listen, this is subjective. This is just like art and everything. And we say this often. I hate to sound like I'm repeating myself, but I'm going to. There's going to be some broken stuff about Druid that people are going to complain about. There's people that absolutely hate Bran in its current iteration, and I'm 100% completely fine with it. And then there's going to be on the opposite side. I think that you guys have been asking, and I mean you guys, I'm just going to say, like, the population has been asking for, we want some change. And I think, based on my limited knowledge of playing this, I think change is coming, and I think it looks good. And then Subaru also mentioned it's never a good thing to mix class cards in Hearthstone. Some way or another, one class gets overshadowed, and the other gets all the juice. Go ahead, talk about that.
I mean, yeah, it happens, right? Like, say, Flesh Giant is a great example. It's better in Warlock than it is in Priest. But, like,
Absolutely.
Who cares? Who cares? The whole idea of dual class cards, and I guess Taurus, is it's trying to blur the borders of class cards to give that class something it doesn't have already. Hollow Hound is the best example by far. There is not a single card in Hunter that heals you, aside from Hollow Hound. It is the only one that does. And Hollow Hound is a really good card. It's a good combo card because it synergizes incredibly well with Always Bigger Jormungandr. It's great to be buffed, which is something that Hunter and Death Knight already do. And then it covers up a weakness of Hunter. Yeah, Death Knight doesn't get as much value from it. But, like, who cares? Right? Like,
yeah, no, I agree with you.
Like, who cares?
I agree with you.
It's still just a cool card. It's just a nice way to give another class something they don't really have access to. Like, yeah, sure, they could have done a million different things, but there's so many more things that are, like, bad. You could just say that no class should ever get bad cards. Every class should get, the most broken cards ever. No pack filler cards ever. That's how I feel about this argument. Like that, one class can use it better. Man, who cares?
Exactly.
Like,
no, I don't disagree. I don't disagree with what he's saying. Absolutely not. Like, there's some that are super powerful or what have you. But
yeah,
I think 5 years ago when we were dealing with no situation that happens is going to be fixed until 2 or 3 months from now. I think we're in a better spot for those situations when those outliers come through, that those could be taken care of a lot faster. And by the way, in case you guys didn't see, I saw Hound Hunter is being played right now. So in the current, Theorycraft, I saw it multiple times, and I had a deck with at least one of them. You're going to see it more. It's a busted card in a good way. Definitely play that. Everybody, listen, we do this complaints department as a way for you to talk about all the saltiest takes in Hearthstone. We do have a way for you to reach out and tell us. Good, bad. Tell us what we're doing, what you hate, what you love about Hearthstone. We want to hear everything. It's not just saltiness. We want to hear praise for the devs and everything. Go to speakpipe.com/HS complaints, and you can be completely anonymous. You could tell us your date of birth, whichever road you want to go on. You can tell us as much or as little as you want. We would love to hear from you. So yeah, your mother's maiden name. We're good. We'll take it all. Just kidding. I hope we don't get busted on that. I think that's it for tonight. But obviously, in case no one's ever heard this before, wow, what a way to make the first thing by sitting there saying like, oh yeah, we want your social security number. Then we're going to introduce ourselves. Ooh, that is so bad. Let's see. Nick, why don't you tell us where everybody can find you if they're not listening to us at the Hearthstone Complaints Department podcast?
You can find me on Twitter at FlareHS_, and then on YouTube at Flare Hearthstone. I make like commentary style videos on Hearthstone. I try to upload some gameplay, but I don't know. And I'm usually talking about something or another of a card that I really like. Oh, sorry. But then you can find Jay at This Week in Heart HS on Twitter, and then at This Week in Hearthstone on YouTube, where he's doing like budget decks, he's doing all this stuff, and a lot of them are some ideas that I wish I had come up with first. I'm not gonna lie, and I feel awkward because I'm like, dude, I should have thought of that.
Don't worry about it. You can borrow some of mine. You could also do some of mine, whatever works. Listen, we are also on Spotify. I will put all the links in the description so you can find that. But if you go to Spotify and type in This Week in Hearthstone or Hearthstone Complaints Department, it will pop up. I verified it, and we are all caught up on the episodes. That's it for this week. Like I said, please go to speakpipe.com/HSComplaints to get your thoughts out. And listen, we don't have a tagline yet, but if we did, we'd put it right here. So we're done for the night. Say goodnight, Nick.
Good night, Nick.
That's twice in a row. Yes. Later, everybody.
Yep.